everyone. It's so fantastic to have you join us for our healthy lifestyles. Thank you for joining in. Right now, everybody's microphone is on mute, but during this presentation, if you have a question, please use your question and answer segment, and I'll get Mary to answer your question along the way. And I am very, very excited for our program today. Mary Martin has been with us for 21 years. She has been an exceptional master gardener, and she is going to teach us more tricks about container gardening today. And do use your question and answer selection if you would like to ask our expert a question. And I am very, very happy to turn our program over today for my favorite spring workshop on container gardening. Mary Martin, the program is yours. Thank you.
All righty. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm glad to see that there's people out there that are still wanting to garden. Today, I'm going to be doing a presentation on container vegetable gardening. And most people will say, well, why do you want to grow vegetables in a container? Well, why not? You know, you can plant them in any type of container that will hold soil, just like this one. And the requirements are it has to have a hole in the bottom. So we have to have any type of container that will hold soil and drain water. So that's our first step. Some of the other reasons why to do container gardening is some people may live in an apartment complex and they might only have just a patio. This way you can still enjoy gardening and do, you know, grow vegetables to eat. These I plan on setting out on my front door, which is right by my kitchen, so I can go out and have a tomato now and again. And this is kind of called a pasta garden, is what we're going to be making today. Because I have a tomato here, we've got some lettuce, parsley, basil, and a green pepper. That way, and a few flowers, because we have to have a little color in there. Okay, so when we select our container, we want to make sure that it's big enough. Size does matter when you're growing things. Tomatoes take a lot of space. So you're going to want a good size container for a tomato. The rest of them don't really take a lot of space, but they'll still need some space. Now, if you decide on a plastic, now this I bought at the dollar store, believe it or not, and I've used it. This is my second year of using this one, which all I've done is last year when I was done with it for the season, brought it in. This year I got it out, cleaned it up, and I always take 1 part bleach to 9 parts of water, wash up the insides because that will help with any bugs that we might have or diseases that might have been on my plants last year. So, but you can do terracotta, you can do metal, you can do wood. Like I said, there's so many containers to choose from. One of the things you want to make sure that when you do have a container, like I said earlier, you want to make sure there's a hole in it. Luckily, I have a drill that will do that. So I can always drill a hole in the bottom of anything. So you can go as cheap as you want or as expensive as you want. If you're using a great big urn, and we've all seen those that are real tall and heavy. Now, what's worse than having a heavy container trying to move it? So one of the easiest ways to do it is there are 2 different ways. You can take like an old pot, turn it upside down in the bottom so that you're using, this is just wasted space. Because any plant only needs about 6 to 8 inches of soil to grow. So we don't need a deep, deep amount of soil. The only thing that needs more soil would be a carrot. And carrots, well, who's going to grow a carrot in a container? Because you got to have more than one for a meal. So you want to make sure that you fill the bottom with a filler. The other filler I've used is like the water bottles. this is a pop bottle, but we'll use it as an example. You can just put those in the bottom, and then I lay in like even like a Walmart bag or plastic bag in there just to keep the soil from going down into the bottles, and then I can fill my soil in. So we only need 6 inches of soil. So selecting the site for our container. Now on this deck, I'm sitting here looking at it. We want to make sure, like if you have a patio or anything like that, is that you want to make sure that you have at least 6 hours of sunlight. So we got to have 6 hours for sunlight. Leafy greens, sometimes they can go with as little as just 4 hours of light. So you want to make sure you've got a place that you've got enough light and that you can use, the space. It might be that you're out on cement. We have some cement back here. It might be that. It might be just on a deck. It might be in a window box. Any of those will do. All right, so we've selected our containers. Now we want to talk about the soil. And this is one of the important things. And I'm going to put this, we'll start off with our container. We'll back up a little bit. This is just a plain coffee filter. That hole in the bottom, we always want to make sure it's there, but we got to make sure that when we water our plants, that the water doesn't drain all the way through and go out, because it'll dry up your plants and everything else. So we have our container. I've got my coffee filter in there. You can also use like a little pebble for it or a little stone. If you have a broken pot, you can put a broken pot over that, piece of the broken pot right over that hole. It's just to hold the water or the soil in from it draining out. Otherwise, we'd have a little puddle of mud when we're all done with our season. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to mention, if you use a terracotta pots will wick moisture out of your soil. So one of the best things you can do is when you're going to use it, get a bucket of water, take your terracotta pot and put it right in the bucket of water and let it soak while you're getting everything else together. It's snowing here, can you tell? So you're going to let it soak in the water. And then when you get all of your supplies together, you can take the pot out, usually about 10-15 minutes. And the pot will absorb moisture. So that way, when you put your soil and stuff in, it's not going to draw it from the soil. So your plants will do better. So the soil, I like to go with Miracle-Gro. You can't even see that, can you? All right, so I usually go with Miracle-Gro. It's a nice mix. As you can see, most people can see that there's little white specks in that. What that is actually what is called perlite. And this is what it looks like when you buy it in a bag. And it helps to put kind of aeration in your soil. Because if we were to take this and pack it all tight without that in there, the water is not going to go through. So that kind of helps with the water. It helps with everything else. And I realized I said I was only going to use 6 inches of soil, but with this container, it won't make any difference that it is a little bit deeper because the plants won't mind it at all. So what I'm going to do, I do not go with store brand potting mixes because a lot of times what they have and never use garden soil. Because garden soil, they've actually went out to a garden. They might have sterilized it a little bit, but you run the risk of having weeds grow up. So always get yourself good potting soil. And I've seen some of the potting soils that are out there that is horrible. So that's why I always go with a reliable kind. As I'm putting this in here, you can see I'm breaking up all of the big clods because it will clod up just like anything else. But I'm only going to put about that much soil in it to start, because what I'm going to do next is I have what is called moisture crystals. And I'll get these out. And if you look there, there is what moisture crystals look like when I sprinkle them on the soil. But the magic of that is these ones, if I take this little scoop, put it in a plastic bag and add a cup of water, within a half an hour, I will have this. And what this looks like is it looks just like jelly. And these moisture crystals, when you water, soak up the moisture. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna sprinkle these in here. They will soak up the moisture that's in the soil, and when you water or when it rains, and they get bigger and bigger as they get more water. And the plants, their little roots will go right to these moisture crystals and draw the moisture out. So then you can water them in and they'll puff up again, and the cycle continues. I want to get the moisture crystals off my hands. All right, so we got some moisture crystals in there, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to water in the bottom, because right now, I think everybody knows that we are in a moderate drought, and this year is going to be a challenging year, whether it's a container, whether it's a regular garden, or anything out like that. So we're going to have moisture. So I've dampened the soil so it looks like this. It looks like I'm going to have a little mud fight. I'm not. Now I'm going to take more soil and put in here. And now when we select, I got my soil in. So we don't go cheap. We got moisture crystals and we're about ready for plants. Okay, so when we select plants, this is my tomato plant that I selected. You're going to want to, when you go buy them, you're going to want to read the labels to see what kind they are. This right here is what's called a grape tomato. And this way, when I want a little tomato any time of the day, I can go out and pick them. Now, when you're going to do this, you want to take and kind of squish the bottom of the pot so it comes out. Now, as you can see with this, see how these roots go round and round and round like a merry-go-round. We don't want that, because if we just put it in the ground like this and plant, just stick it in, we're going to end up, when we pull this dead plant out in the fall, you will notice the roots are still going round and round and round. So we want to, what I call, tickle the roots. So I'm going to take them and I'm going to kind of do this, and I'm going to kind of break them here and there and kind of tickle them is a good word for it. And I'm going to decide where I want it in my pot. I'm going to put this in the back because this will get tall and we'll have lots of tomatoes on it. So we have that. So when I bought this plant, when you're looking for them, you're going to go in and you are going to look for a short, stocky, nice base plant. You want to look at this part right down here. I'm going to take these yellow leaves off so you can see. It's nice, short, and stocky. So that will go there. And the reason you want short, stocky is because they will be a hardier plant for you and you will have better luck with them. So I'm just putting a little bit more soil underneath him because I want him just, I don't want to bury up any higher than what he's already planted. Now I'm going to take, I got a little green pepper, and everybody's gotten these cell packs before, and I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, how do you get those little puppies out of there sometimes? I've learned that I kind of tilt it this way, and with this hand, I kind of squeeze and pop it right out. And if you notice that these roots are the same way, see it going round and round and round. So we want to break that up a little bit, and we'll plant him like over here. I've lost my, there he is. I lose it quite regularly at home too, so don't feel bad. So we'll stick that right there. And that should be enough room for a green pepper. Here's my notes. All right, so then I also have a parsley plant. and a basil plant that we're gonna plant up. And I'm also gonna put some lettuce in, and I'm gonna put a little bit of color in there with some flowers. Because I just don't like containers that don't have flowers in them. They have to look pretty as well as being functional. So my basil, I'll pop it out again. You look for nice stocky plants, nice healthy ones. These were all nice and healthy. And this, again, they're going round and round and up and down. So you just kind of break them up. And I'll stick that one over here. I'm gonna stick a little bit of soil in there, just so we've got that taken care of. Okay, so now I've got a pepper, my basil, and my tomato. Now we've got some parsley, because what's parsley without the rest? And I'm going to tickle his roots, get him going. And I think I'll pop him in up here. I don't think this took as much soil as what it does, but it does. There, so we have him popped in. He wants to lean a little. And then here I have romaine lettuce. And as you can see, the roots of this are really root bound. But when you're buying them, don't be afraid to take that pot and look at the bottom. If you're buying house plants or anything like that, if there's roots coming out of the bottom, it's a little overstressed. So you kind of want to avoid that if you can. So there we have our lettuce in. This way I can go out at any time this summer and have a nice. Now I will say, when it comes to like the light, all of these will take full sun. This lettuce over here, this one right here, this one will take as little as 4 hours of shade. So I don't worry about it being right by the tomato, because it might shade it out. It will still get enough light, but yet it will still be very good lettuce. So then I'm going to just fill in with some more soil in here. And I could tell everybody the difference between soil and dirt. I like to ask the kids that. Does Louise know the difference between soil and dirt?
I do not remember, Mary. Please tell us.
The difference between soil and dirt is soil is what you're planting in. I'm planting in soil. This is my soil. This, all over this table where I don't want it, that's dirt. That's the only difference. Is the soil is where you want it to be, and dirt is where it's not supposed to be. You know, your mom would say, you just tracked in dirt. She'd never say, you just tracked in soil. So that's the difference between the two. Okay, so now we've selected our plants. We've got them kind of planted in. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about with tomato plants, there are different kinds of tomatoes that are out there. And you're going to see on tags that sometimes with tomatoes, it will say determinate or indeterminate. And you're probably scratching your head saying, what in the world do they mean by that? Well, what the difference is a determinate plant will stay short and to the ground kind of, and all of the fruit will ripen at once. An indeterminate plant, those are the ones you have to kind of keep in something because they shoot up and they will flower and they will bear fruit from when they start fruiting right up until it frosts. And you'll still go out there even after the plant is dying, and you will see little blossoms on it, and you will also see little fruits. So that's the difference between a determinate and indeterminate plant. We also have what's called an heirloom. And I'm sure people have seen those that they go, now what makes it an heirloom? What an heirloom is a plant or seeds that it has been grown from a seed from way back before 1950. And what I mean by that, I have the seed catalog right here. That some of these, I was looking at, there was corn in here that is considered an heirloom. And the seeds have been harvested every year from the best of the best since 1905. And each year they save the seeds and then plant them the next year, take the best of the best again, save the seeds, plant them up, and on it goes for years and years. So that's what an heirloom is. Now there's also what's called organic. Everybody's heard of organic farming. That is just that they don't use any pesticides or any herbicides on it. It's grown naturally. I think the most they might do is maybe put like some manure on the fields when they grow them. And other than that, they go out there like the old fashioned way. Like when I was a kid, we went out and picked tomato worms off the tomato plants. That's how organic works. Then we have what is called a hybrid. And I think one of these said it was a hybrid. That what a hybrid is they've taken two parents of the same species, like a tomato. They've taken this species of one and this species of another, and they've cross-pollinated those two plants. And when they harvested the seeds, that baby will have its own different look. It won't look like either one of the parent plants. It will be its own plant. That's not a GMO. What the GMOs are is where they actually go in, and GMO stands for genetically modified organisms. That's where they actually went in and changed the DNA of the plant. So that kind of explains all of those little things. Now that we've got this planted up, we are going to, well, we can talk about some seeds too. I really didn't get it all planted up, did I? I still got little flowers that I want to put in here. So I'm going to grab, sure I am. There we go. There we go. This is the one I wanted up front. So I'm going to put this in. So I will just dig a hole, tickle the leaves or tickle the roots, and we'll place it in there. Stick it right in there with that parsley. I think we can stick some violets in there too. Wow, look at those roots. These, the little violets like this, if you plant these in your flower beds, they will come back. They usually will reseed themselves year after year. We've had them up at the library we've been doing that place for 3 years. I think it's 3 years we've done it, or 2. This is our 3rd year. And we have violets that grow. See how much nicer that looks? So then, selecting seeds. If you're going to be doing any seeds, go to a reliable seed catalog. This is one that I get every year, Pine Tree. And this has got a lot of, it will tell you whether it's an heirloom. I'll hold it like this. Whether it's an heirloom, whether it's GMO, or whether it's organic, it will tell you what it is. They have different sections. They have herbs. They have all kinds of fruits, vegetables, you name it. They've got it in there. And they do have a website if anybody's interested in it. And this is superseeds.com would be the website. So they grow super seeds there. Okay, so you want to read the package of the seeds and follow the directions. And if you're going to do them in containers, you do not have to plant the whole package of seeds. You only need a couple. I actually do square foot gardening also at home. And what I do is I take my seeds and I plan up what I need or what I want. The rest of the seeds I leave in the envelope. I fold the top down, put a little piece of Scotch tape on there, store it in a plastic box in a cool place, dark, cool place. And I have a cabinet in my spare bedroom that's what it's designated for, is I have a whole box of seeds that I have saved or that I've bought, that I've used some of them, that I can reuse the rest of them this year. And they will last for a long time. You know, a lot of the seeds, if you're saving seeds, you can have them for, I think I've heard of them being 10 years old and they still were able to grow them. Okay, so we talked about we need at least 6 inches of soil. I think we've got that. I think everything's drooping because it's warm, because it is very, very warm out here. So we got that. So we've got everything planted. We've tickled the roots. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to water this in real good. Again, only this time I'm going to water it even more. And I'm going to go around and around each one of these plants so that I know that they all have an ample amount of water. Put that in. Because there's nothing worse than having a container that when you're all done, you look at it and you go, oh, that one didn't make it. And a lot of people will ask, well, how many do you put in? You put in as many as you think you want. You know, and when you're planting stuff, pick stuff that you will eat. I will eat lettuce. Well, my family will. I really can't, but I do eat it on occasion. And I will eat basil. I do eat parsley. And I won't eat the flowers, but I could if I wanted to, because these ones are edible. So we have that. So now what I'm going to do, I am going to take my Osmocote, which is a slow release fertilizer. And like this soil has got a slow release fertilizer in it, because right on the bag, it will tell me that it feeds up to 6 months. But what I plan on doing is I'm going to sprinkle a whole nother pinch of it right here along these plants. And this way I know that this is good for the whole summer, because this also feeds for 3 months. So this being the end of May, we have June, July, August. Some of this stuff will be done, some of it won't. But what I can do is, because this tomato plant will grow until the frost, I will come in come August and I will fertilize him all over again. It won't hurt anything. Then I can also, every 2 weeks, I take Miracle-Gro again, and it comes with a little scoop. And what you do is this little scoop right here in a gallon jug of water. And how I water is I will fill my water jug. Say I fill them today and I put my Miracle-Gro in it. I will not use that water for like 2 days, because I like to let it set, because we have well water. And with town water and stuff like that, the sediment kind of settles down into the bottom of the container, so it won't hurt anything. Because like if you have a water softener, we have a water softener that we have to be careful when we're watering our plants to turn our water softener on. So when we use our hose, it gets the water that it needs. So I would mix that up in a gallon jug, let it set, and then I would water in like every 2 weeks. Now this year, with it being a kind of a drought that we're having, I'm going to give it another drink because the water is all soaked up. I want to make sure that this is well hydrated before I set it out. So I want to make sure that the water is going through. The root systems have got enough water to drink. So we have that. Now, the other thing is, because of the warm weather, you can also, it's recommended that when you do your containers, that you mulch your containers. I know some of you are going, mulch your containers. It's bad enough we have to do our flower beds. But this is as simple as, I have these little white stones, And I'm just gonna plop them in around all of the plants. Not only does it make it look nice, but these stones will hold the moisture in when it gets really hot, like it isn't today, because I think today is 80 and it's only supposed to get hotter. So this will help my plants. And see how nice that looks? It looks like you bought it at a greenhouse. And you just go around every one again, and they will love you for it. And I think we're just about, got it almost finished. Okay, so feeding. We've already did the Osmocote. We talked about Miracle Grow or a plant food, whichever type of plant food you would like. And I think now the tomatoes, like I said, you'll have to refertilize those come August. But that's okay. So there we go. So now here is our finished product. And it looks like you went to a greenhouse and you bought, you've bought an expensive container when actually it wasn't that expensive to do. So I hope everybody goes out and plants one. So now I guess we'll go to our questions, if there's any questions.
2 questions came in.
Okay.
One is, where do you get your special products, your moisture crystals and then your long-acting fertilizer? Where do you find them?
These both, as you can see, I've had them for years for Walmart's. You can buy this at Walmart's, and the Moisture Plus, you can usually buy it right in the garden section at Walmart's. If you can't find it there, try Myers. So either one of those, Miracle Grows the same way. We just go to our local, big box store, and that's where we purchase our stuff. We don't go any place fancy for any of it. Now my plants, I do have a greenhouse that's like 4 miles away from my house. So we use them, and it's Amish, but they have beautiful plants and they take very good care of them, and their prices are reasonable. So
our other question that came in was, how do you know how many plants to put in a container so that you're not overcrowding, that it's just right?
Usually, like a tomato plant, on average, if you're doing like a square foot garden or this, a square foot tomato plant usually needs at least a foot area. So with this, there's enough soil going down in here, so that one, the roots will go down and the other ones can kind of go out. Because plants just don't sit there like they look in here. They want to go down, they want to go out, they want to spread their little wings like we do. So I generally go with, what have I got in here? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7. If I find that like this is getting a little stressed, I might take that out and put it in a different pot by itself. So you can start out so it looks really nice, or you can start out with just a few. But like a planter this size, I would go with no less than 3. I would go 3 to 5, or like I said, these were small enough plants that I did 7. So just until it looks nice. You have to know when to quit though. At least you should.
We have another question.
Another question, okay.
Where did you find the sprinkler for your pop bottle?
Okay, I knew that one would come up. What this is it's leevalley.com, LEEVALLEY.com, and they sell them. And they have garden supplies, and they come in a package. I believe it's 4, and I think they run now about $6, which is well worth it because they fit on any type a pop bottle. They do not work on a water bottle, so don't try that. These will actually fit on this size pop bottle or the 2-liter bottle, so fit onto. So they're nice to have on hand. But that's leevalley.com where that comes from. Any other questions?
No,
If
thank you,
not-
Mary. You're
Well,
wealth of information.
I'm glad to do it, and I hope to see everybody next year, and hopefully we can start doing them in eye to eye again. So
When we do them in person, everybody gets to take one home.
yes, yes. So as long as everybody stays safe and everything, we will be able to hopefully next year do this live with real containers, and you'll take a prize home. So thank you very much for having me, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you.
All
Mary.
righty. Oops. Put this back on. She's on.
Wonderful presentation. And for everybody who's registered, Nina Barnett will email you out the recording of this program. I learned several new tricks I didn't know about the top cover. I'm going to be adding that in. And I would like to invite everybody back for our June 16th Healthy Lifestyle. We're doing Healthy Lifestyles the third Wednesday of each month. On June 16th, Tammy Cat and staff from our ambulance service will be talking to us about our new community paramedic program. So please email Nina or give her a call at 810-648-6127 for Nina Barnett. Thank you one and all, and have a great summer and happy planting and great inspiration, Mary. Thank you.